Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This is the last part of the online course on ethics of research on living subjects. This will address the local ethics committee role and research ethics monitoring office. What are the criteria that should be followed by the local ethics committee to approve a project? They should look into the selection of research subjects and ensure that it's appropriate for their objective and that the risk to human subjects is minimized and there should be no violation of Islamic rules or the kingdom laws. Protection of confidentiality of information is sufficient and the measures to safeguard the rights and welfare of the research subjects, and there should be a plan for periodic follow-up to ensure safety, and that the informed consent proposed by the investigator should contain all the required elements. The committee can grant an expedited review if the project does not carry more than minimal risk, or if the project has minor modification of an already approved project, and it is not a minor modification if there is change to a higher dose, addition of a drug or a device or an invasive procedure, or change in the inclusion-exclusion criteria, or including vulnerable subjects to the project. And usually the project is reviewed by the chairman or his designee, and the members are informed during the next meeting about the decision, and the members have the right to question the decision and to bring it back to full committee. Example for expedited review: collecting biological specimen non-invasively, such as saliva, urine, hair, or nails. Collecting material that is already collected for purposes other than research. Continuous review if project had been previously approved and then there is another look at the results. Registered drugs and devices that are used in their approved doses and approved indications, and data collection by non-invasive procedures such as what we talked about previously. Research Ethics Monitoring Office. Article 8 from the law states that an office in CAXT in charge of oversight of all local committees and local laboratories to ensure adherence to the regulations, and it should work in coordination with the National Committee of Bioethics. The Research Ethics Monitoring Office procedures include to conduct periodic evaluation and monitoring of the national laboratories from an ethical standpoint, to check all the records and documents related to registered research at the local committees, and to contact and meet the research subjects or participants when needed, and to suspend, stop, or terminate or prevent the expedited review in case of violations by the local ethics committee, and to correct any mistakes committed by the local ethics committee and to take the necessary action, like referring it to the legal authorities for violating. How do we send materials outside the kingdom for research purposes? Only to be sent to international research parties known for their expertise in the field, and that's only if analysis cannot be done locally. There should be an agreement in place that guarantees the research subject's rights and the investigator's rights and the national rights, and they should not reveal the identity of the sample owner, which means that it should be sent as coded material, and there should be an approval by the local committee, and the national committee should be informed about it. The vulnerable groups, such as minors, incompetent, disabled, they require extra protection due to potential compromised autonomy. So approval to conduct research on vulnerable group is permitted only if it is impossible to conduct it on a competent person, it is in the interest of the vulnerable subject or subjects, and the risk of exposure to harm is minimal, and the research is conducted in the institute where most of the residents are of the vulnerable. How about prisoners? No prisoner shall be forced to participate in clinical research either by coercion or by seduction. Local committee shall not allow the research to be conducted in prisoner unless it aims either to study the prisoner's criminal behavior or to study situation in prisons, the residents or common disease among them, or to study procedures applied in prison to improve the prisoner's life stances. Precautions in genetic research. It is not permissible to divulge scientific research results to the media if it may lead to increased discrimination based on racial, familial, or tribal origin. Research that is devoted to the concept of discrimination on racial basis or may have a negative impact on the community is therefore prohibited. That's part of the Article 36 regulation. Conducting genetic therapeutic research. The objective of the research should be limited to research on genetic defect and disease and treatment. Research should contribute to the society-related genetic knowledge and add new scientific knowledge, and should aim to develop and improve the scientific and health status in the society. It should use sufficient scientific methods and precautions to prevent any escape of genetically modified organisms outside the laboratory. Gene therapy has certain requirements. There should be a written approval by the National Committee for all genetic therapy proposals and should be conducted in a qualified hospital or research center, and should commit to the procedures and guidelines stated in the international agreement, and it is limited only to diseases that affect human life and cannot be treated successfully with established medical procedures. Stem cell research. Stem cell research can be done on tissues or parts separated from the body, including umbilical cord stem cells or adult stem cells. The use of fetal cells is conditional, provided that the fetuses were not cloned to obtain these stem cells and that there is informed consent from the owners obtained in all cases. We come to cloning. Human cloning is prohibited by judicial, ethical, medical principles, since the risks and harms of cloning on humanity is far greater than the expected benefits. That concludes this part, and for more information, please refer to the law and regulations of ethics on research on living subjects that is available on the website of the National Committee of Bioethics. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.